I'd like to share thoughts that appears in the upcoming Parsha, but I think it really is a universal thought. That is, we have a rabbinic teaching that Avraham Avinu enacted that we pray in the morning, the prayer of Shachris. Yitzchak enacted that we pray in the afternoon. And Yaakov Avinu enacted the concept of praying at night, the Mariv prayer. The three tefillot are because of the three avot. There's an obvious question here because the Talmud tells us that Shacharit, the morning prayer, Umincha, the afternoon prayer, are mandatory binding obligations. But the prayer of Arvit, according to the strict halacha, was actually optional. It's become obligatory, let me emphasize that, because it was a custom that was accepted by the Jewish people. But according to the strict letter of the halacha, the prayer of Arvit is optional. And the question is, why should Avram and Yitzchak's prayer be superior to that of Yaakov's prayer? If their prayer is mandatory, then Yaakov's prayer should also be mandatory. And there's a beautiful, powerful thought from the great Hasidic leader, Rabbi Yitzchak Breitowitz of Lublin, in which he says that the three prayers, although they may have an identical text, are designed to elicit distinct and unique emotions which connect us to God in different ways. The prayer of the morning, which ideally should be prayed at the rising of the sun, represents the notion of gratitude and hope. One gets up in the morning, it's a new day, you hear the birds singing. No matter how difficult life is, in the morning we have a sense of hope, a sense of new possibility, a sense of gratitude. Shacharit, therefore, is the prayer of thanksgiving, gratitude, hope, and optimism. Mincha is a prayer that you pray while it's still daytime, but the shadows of the night are growing longer and longer. Mincha represents the prayer of panic. That's when a person has good things in life, but he feels they're slipping away, la'at la'at, a little bit at a time, and they turn to God with desperation and panic, asking God to let them hold on to their blessings a little bit more. So Shachrit, the prayer of gratitude. Mincha, the prayer of yearning and desperation that God should not take away the good things in their lives. But what is Arvit? Arvit is not prayed as the sun is going down. Arvit is prayed when it's already dark. Arvit represents a stage of life where there's apparent hopelessness, where everything has been taken away. You're not on the way to hitting bottom. You've already hit bottom. And Arvit represents the idea of faith, emunah, trust in God, even if you see no way out of your troubles. Even if there seems to be no rational way, you will emerge from the sakana that you face, from the dangers that you face in your life. So, the idea is this. Shacharit and Mincha represent ideas to which every person can aspire. Every person is expected to have basic gratitude. Even the dumb animal, the dog, the cat, the donkey, the horse, the cow, they will have some appreciation for the hand that feeds it. And Mincha, well, you know the old saying, there are no atheists in foxholes. When we are in danger of losing things, we naturally turn to God, even if in our normal life we're not that connected. But Arvit represents a much more sublime level. It is the level of having faith and trust in God, even when there is utter darkness, confusion, no apparent escape. And therefore, the optionality of Arvit is not because it represents something less important, but precisely because it represents a spiritual level that is so high that we try to aspire to it, but it's not accessible enough to be made mandatory. And that is why at night, the bracha of the Shema that follows the Shema of the Arvit is Emet v'emunah, I have faith in God, emunah. In the morning, we have Yatziv, it is firm and established. And this, of course, is one of the beautiful interpretations of David HaMelech's verse in Psalm 92. La'agid baboker chastecha. I declare your loving kindness in the morning. V'amunatecha, and your faith at night. Life has mornings. There are bright times of joy and celebration. And in those times of light and joy, I declare God's loving kindness because I see it. But what happens when there is darkness and despair? At that point, I cannot see the loving kindness of God. How do I know that God is with me? How do I know that he's supporting me? And King David says, even in the darkness of life, emunatcha, I have faith in your goodness. I don't always see it, but I know it's there. This itself is very connected to Hanukkah, because Hanukkah, above all, metaphorically represents the triumph of light over darkness, even when there's impossible odds. After all, how could the Jewish people defeat the Greek Empire, the most powerful in the world? How could they light one candle that could only last for one day, and that candle burns for 8 days? Emunah, faith in the impossible. That's the story of Hanukkah. That's the story of the Jewish people. That even in the darkest moments of despair, we have faith that God is not only going to show us the light at the end of the tunnel, but God's going to show us the light in the darkness of the tunnel itself. May all of us merit to absorb the light of Hanukkah and take this lesson into our lives.